Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Soul Changes Lives webinar. My name is Debbie Perez-Cockburn. I'm so happy to be with you every week. This week is the second week of the month, and because it's the second week, I'm so excited. We have a product training today with one of the founders and the president of Soul Naturals, Mr. Greg Halliday, who will be talking to us about a brand new product called SolleFit GP. I absolutely love it. I'm going to share actually two testimonials with you today. One of them will be my personal experience with SolleFit GP, but the first one I want to share with you today to start off our webinar, as we usually do with a testimonial. I want to share a testimony that was shared yesterday in our Spanish class. Her name is Guillermina Moya. She speaks no English, and so I couldn't get her to get on today to share her story. But she is a lovely lady. She's part of our success group. She is in the North Carolina area. And she was telling us about her experience using Soul Naturals. And so she tells me that 2 years ago, when she was first introduced to Soul, she was a regular to the emergency room. The local hospital got to know her because they'd see her quite often come in. She says she got so embarrassed that the emergency room already knew who she was, that she decided to go to another town when she got sick to go to the emergency room and get help. I asked her what some of her issues were. You know, she was talking about inflammation. She could hardly breathe. She was having heart problems. She was having a lot of issues that were just really, really, really weighing her down. One of them was incredible inflammation. She thought she'd gained weight, but it was a lot of inflammation. And she's a tiny woman. She's about my height. She's about 5'3", and she was weighing well over 200 pounds. Well, she tells us that she was introduced to Soul by her now mentor, who had her over and was asking her just some questions about her health in general, and helped her to understand that she needed to change her lifestyle and needed to change her eating. And so she started using the primary balance package. For those of you who are familiar with Soul, you know that that's package number 2 on our shopping list. And she started using that, and just 4 or 5 months into the program, she had a family get together, and no one recognized her at the party because she had gone from 200 and some odd pounds to like 150. And so in 5 months of using the product, and what she said was that she knew that all of that chronic inflammation and swelling that she'd been carrying for months had started to disappear, to the point where she wasn't having any difficulty breathing anymore or anything like that. And she kind of giggled because she said, you know, Debbie, I signed up 5 new customers that day without saying a word. All they had to hear was, I'm using Soul and I'm using this program, and they were sold and signed up with it. So really the power of testimonial is incredible. But to paraphrase her, she said it was like being stuck in a black and white picture and then seeing the world in color for the first time, is how she felt using Soul. And I loved that comparison. Later, she said, it was like I was in the dark coming into the light. And so I just love that story. And I wanted to share that with you because you never know. And this goes for my friend who says she's in the stage of planting seeds. You never know whose life you are going to touch when you share your story about Soul, or when you share a product, and you never know when the person is really going to make that turnaround and feel that change in their life. I personally can tell you that I love Soul. Soul has changed my life. For those of you who've known me for quite a while, you know I look way differently now at almost 63 than I did at 43, just 20 years ago. And even 9 years ago, when I started using Soul, I didn't look the way I do now. And so I know that Soul can change your life. I know it can truly impact the way your mind and body connect and how they function. And so I wanted to share that testimonial, and I thank Guillermina Moya again for sharing that story yesterday. All righty, so let's go ahead and jump into our product training. I'm so excited about this product and so excited to have Greg on with us this week. Greg, as I said, is one of the founders, and he is the president and CEO of Soul Naturals. He is a longtime friend of mine. I am thrilled to have him on twice a month on our webinar, so that he can share insight behind the formulation of the products. You know, I always want to call this section, I actually named it for someone in my group on her webinars, and it's called From the Mind of Soul, or Solely Greg's Mind. Is what we named this section, because really Greg's brain functions on a different level, and I think his understanding of the body and adaptogenic herbs and how they can aid us in feeling better and overcoming situations is far more brilliant and more advanced than anyone I know in the herbal field. So Greg, thank you for being here. I've asked Greg to talk to us about a brand new product that was formally launched a couple of weeks ago on a live stream, and the product is called SolleFit GP. The GP stands for Grains of Paradise. Greg will be talking to us about the Grains of Paradise, and also the group of herbs called the Power Chi Blend. And if you guessed it, you guessed correctly, this product will be replacing Power Chi, but we'll still have a lot of the Power Chi components without the jitters that can sometimes affect people. What I love about this product, you guys, is that you can become the master of your own metabolism if you learn to use the 10 levers of metabolism along with this product. This product is really not designed to be a standalone product or use alone, although it will help you. But I have found in my personal use, that's why I want to share my testimonial at the end of the class, is that when I have added it to my program, something that I'm already doing, I'm seeing faster results. I'm seeing better results in a lot of different ways. And so when you think about metabolism, I'm sure just like everyone else, you think about weight loss and weight gain, but metabolism really isn't weight loss and weight gain. Metabolism is how your body manufactures, uses, and stores energy, or how it creates heat to have the body function in a certain way. For instance, if you are a person who is cold, even in the summer, and you're always feeling cold, that indicates that your body is not generating enough heat. There's not enough thermogenesis going on in your body to keep your body warm and function normally, right? And if you wanted to change that, all you'd have to do is turn on the AC a little, make it a little bit colder, and then force your body into thermogenesis, right? Or if it's too hot outside, then your body would do something else to cool you off, right? That's metabolism, making sure that it functions properly. And this product actually helps convert your fat. I don't know if you knew, but there are 3 colors of fat, and they do different things in your body, but white fat versus brown fat, and how you can convert one type of fat into burning another for better thermogenesis and better functioning of your body. And so this is what this product does. And next week, when we have our business class, I will show you on our website how you can find the metabolism, the Mastering Metabolism manual guide, and find those 10 levers. Or you can follow Lon Hudman on the Inside Soul live streams, and we will be able to study those 10 levers that way too. But I want to turn the time over to Greg. Greg, I've made you a co-host, so you're free to share your screen whenever you're ready. And thank you again for being with us today and telling us about SolleFit GP.
My pleasure, Deb. It's great to be here. I need to straighten one thing out, though. The information that I want to share is gleaned from lots of people. What I do is I listen. I try really hard to listen and think about all this wonderful information that's out there, both from experiences from people and from scientists, some from studies, a lot of use in real life. I say that way because a lot of the scientific experiments are not real life. They're sort of structured to see a certain result, and it can teach us things, but it's different than it's going to be when someone incorporates nutrition into their life, and they're dealing with all the influences in their life and their own unique personal makeup. So we keep learning and sharing, and we just want to share everything that we learn through Soul. So hopefully in this segment, I can do a good job sharing things that I've been taught and that we've seen over time on this subject and with this product in particular, and this formula. I'll share a quick testimonial with you. On Friday, I was coming back I agreed to do a meeting for Soul on my way back from the Supply Side convention. Supply Side is something that is put on once a year in the west of the western part of the United States, and then once a year in the east. And it's really just a large convention, very large, of all the suppliers and raw material distributors of herbs and natural ingredients from all over the world. And obviously since that's what this event is about. There's a huge variety of participants from literally all over the world, every continent. That's why we go, and we've gone for many, many years. I don't know how many years now, many, because we like to see what is being learned, and every so often we'll see some new herbs. And I'll give you an example: the Grains of Paradise, or the GP in SolleFit GP. The GP stands for Grains of Paradise. That ingredient is something that came about because of these connections with his supply channel. And so since that's where we were last week, a Soul leader asked me if I could drop by. It was about like a 2.5 hour drive. It actually was slightly more than that in the end, but I thought it was about that, and just do a meeting for her and her group. And then a lot of other leaders in the area joined. This was in the Ontario area of California. So they did a meeting, and one woman at the very beginning of the meeting stood up to share her experience with SolleFit GP, this product. And I just loved listening to her. Once again, I thought back to what Debbie said, how powerful simply sharing what you're doing is to change lives. I think it's the most powerful thing that we have. But we can get all the education, and that's so important, right? It helps us to figure out how to work with ourselves, our own health, and also help others. But I think sharing, there's just something about it that our voice, which is different than anyone else's, can be and is just the thing for someone. And oftentimes more than just one person in that setting, where the light can turn on and people can, or, maybe the light turned on, but the motivation's not there, but people just decide, I'm going to do something about it. And I believe that I can do something about my situation. So that's what I sat there thinking. I wish I could tell you her name. I met so many people that night. I don't remember her name because I had not known her until this event. But she talked about how she was on a balanced program. So she already was using products from all 4 categories. And she didn't say for how long, but I think for several months is my guess. And she was seeing improvements in various things, and that's why she kept doing it. And then she came to the summit that we had here about a month ago here in Utah. And since we launched SolleFit GP, she decided to add it. And Debbie talked a little bit about why we developed SolleFit GP. We developed it to help us all learn what true metabolic mastery is. Mastery doesn't mean we control everything. What it means that we understand it. And that when we don't get the results we want, we know the various places that are all interconnected in metabolism that we can look at specifically and make a change in. And when we know those places, we've just identified 10, then the statistics improve greatly for us, that we can see a result, a positive result, because sometimes things look the same, as we all know, on the outside, but there's a totally different cause on the inside. And we can address what we think it is with an herb or a couple of herbs, and it just doesn't make the change that we're looking for, because a different lever is having a greater influence. We call them levers just because a lever is something that with a little bit of effort, a larger process is moved. And I believe in that principle in health. It's seemingly small changes can make big improvements, or on the negative side, sometimes a seemingly small change that's not particularly good for us can have a bigger effect in its consequence. So levers are worth studying, especially as they relate to metabolism. And there are so many things that are tied into what Debbie described. Metabolism is not burning fat. It's the entire process of absorbing nutrition, creating energy, and keeping the body able to create energy by keeping it clean. Because as we know, when we get all kind of clogged up, stopped up, it doesn't matter how wonderfully we're eating. If we're not getting enough of those components that help the body clear itself out as well. So anyway, this is what I was sitting here thinking as I listened to this testimonial, and this lady talked about how she started to see changes. Then she started to use SolleFit GP, and she made the decision. She was using 4 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. Now, I only know of 2 people who have done that because we don't recommend it. But the 2 people that I know of who did it, they had their reasons, and they already were using products. And so what they were doing was making a decision and then listening to their body. Both of them, this lady and the other one, kept doing it at that level. So it was working for them. So that's kind of notable. I know they won't stay that way always, but right now, with what they have going on, that's what's making the difference for them. And I only bring that up because that principle applies to any product. I promise you that when we put Soul products together, we put them together with the objective in mind to make them what we would call scalable, and we can learn what they're doing in us, and we can ramp them up for periods of time that we might be working on something. I don't know of anyone who keeps those high ramped up levels ongoing. That's always for a period of time. And so not doing that, not listening enough to our body where we do ramp it up, can sometimes make it so that we don't see a result. And we can feel like, oh, that thing doesn't really work for me. So anyway, in her story, yes, she talked for probably 8 or 9 minutes in her testimonial. And only at the very end, she mentioned in one sentence, oh yeah, and I've lost, I think she said 12 pounds and an inch or 2 in 3 weeks. She'd only been using the SolleFit GP for 3 weeks. But it's funny to me that she didn't talk about that. That was something she just threw in at the end. What she spent all her time talking about was how her sleep had changed, how joint pain and different pains had gone down, how inflammation had gone down, how her digestion felt different now. And she described different things that she had gone through and how it was better, and how she sort of had this constant energy, that kind of limitless energy, where she never felt exhausted during the day. So I loved that because she spent time talking about the things that made her life different. And the weight and all that, that was a little add-on, that was something that she liked, but it wasn't why she was doing it per se. So with that in mind, let me just share a couple of slides. I've tried to grab some of the slides that Dr. Allison shared with us and kind of work them into a presentation that we had that mentions some of the ingredients. So this is, if you haven't seen the bottle yet, if you're, because Debbie, you record these, right? So in case you're watching the recording and you haven't heard of this product, this is what it looks like. The GP stands for grains of paradise. Those little kernels that you see are grains of paradise. Sometimes people compare them to peppercorns. They're a lot smaller than peppercorns. They're like half the size, and there's a richer color. They are incredible. To me, they're kaleidoscopic in their flavors and in their plant constituents. This is why we were interested in. This is the reason, because we believe in balance and bringing lots of components in nature that can bring a more complete balanced approach to whatever the health objective is. Grains of paradise are like that. And if you ever have a chance to buy some, if you can get some organic, make sure they're pure, they're actually pretty tasty to chew on. Dr. Allison brought a bunch, and so she was letting us all put a few, it's warm, there's heat to them. There is a little bit of like red pepper, but not the harshness. It never goes overboard is the way I would describe it. Your mouth will heat up and you'll feel that warmth as it goes into your digestion with these grains of paradise. But it is so balanced. There's a little bit of eucalyptus to it. Now, it's not eucalyptus, but it's that type of sensation. There are a number of essential or volatile oils that you wouldn't think go together. But in this seed, this is the seed of the plant, they're really quite amazing. And I think you're going to see more people get interested from a culinary point of view in cooking. This is very well known in Eastern and West Africa, has been used for a long, long time in cooking, but not only that, therapeutically, because it has this wide variety of benefits, among them digestive benefits, among them also immune benefits. And what we're finding with the research that has been done, there's been a lot done in the San Francisco area, the creation of energy in the body and helping the body convert some energy sources that aren't very readily used in our bodies to those that are. That's kind of what it does in a nutshell. So SolleFit GP is a really interesting product. We took the grains of paradise, we started with that, and then, whoops, never mind. I forgot. I put this slide. Might as well play it. Some of you who weren't at Summit, Hope showed this. These are people's reviews. Okay, so if you ever wanted proof that I'm not the genius that Debbie thinks I am, I thought I was just bringing a slide in of SolleFit GP, but I was bringing the video into the presentation. But I'm glad you got to see that, because there were a lot of people who were part of a pre-launch. And so a lot of them shared this is just a few of them that shared their stories or their rating and their experience with it. Lots of positive things happen and lots of things that were different than what you might expect. Okay. So I'm going to jump over this because we already talked a little bit about metabolic mastery. There's lots we're going to talk about. It's not just going to be, by the way, Debbie, on this show that Lon does. I think the goal is every 2 weeks to have a pre-recorded lever by Dr. Allison and by Valerie. They'll rotate back and forth. And so that in the next 5 months, you'll get all 10 in a pre-record. I think they're shooting for like a 20-minute. So it's like a little 20-minute educational module. It's not like a couple minutes on it. It's a little bit of a deep dive, but not something crazy long. And I think there probably will be various places they release that. At least that's the last update that I heard. So you won't have to wait too long in between. And that's important to us because SolleFit GP is a great new addition. It's to target this, but if that's all you do, you might have other levers of metabolism that are so, what's the word? They're so dominating your metabolic result that to take one product, that's not going to be enough. And that's why Solle's designed with the 4 categories to be able to do work in all these different interconnected levers to metabolism. And then if we can do that, the hope and the goal is, and then you can add in something like SolleFit GP, you really start to see what you want. But it by itself, it's not necessarily going to be enough. when you have some really fairly major issues with some of the levers, some of the metabolic levers. Why? Because that's just how powerful our body is. Our body seeks seeks a balance. So there's so many checks and balances in there. This is, again, just my perception as I've listened to a lot of this over the years and learned that we do need to, learn about those levers and get good at them, because then we are much less likely to sort of be stumped by using a product for any particular thing and just be stuck with it. We're able to find answers. And so so you can kind of see we're launching this product, but we're not launching it sort of in a vacuum. We're saying, let's keep talking about the whole soul philosophy, which really is this. In fact, adaptogens, one of the definitions, that we founded the company to have adaptogens in every formula. Well, one of its probably most highly regarded definitions by those who do all the research on adaptogens is that the adaptogens are at their very core metabolic regulators. And we don't think of them that way, but that is what they're doing and why they're so centering and balancing, and they help other things be more effective when you can combine with adaptogens. So here's what GP has. This is a little rundown. Debbie kind of told you it's essentially, we've got two new materials from Grains of Paradise, a double whammy. We didn't just pick one. We didn't just grab the seeds and grind them up and put them in. Okay, we have two different materials from Grains of Paradise. Then we have all the other herbs that you see there that were part of the Power Chi blend. You'll notice that one thing that was in there was green tea. Because of Grains of Paradise, we didn't need both green tea and Grains of Paradise. And because of Grains of Paradise, it's more scalable. Green tea is not as scalable for people when there's a large group of people that when they ramp up green tea, it can cause problems for them. But that's not the case with Grains of Paradise. And then you can see everything else here. So let's kind of jump through kind of quickly. And Deb, if you want, we can see how we're doing in about 5 minutes, and we can come back and do more of this next time.
Absolutely.
Because it's hard to do all of them at once. Let's just do Grains of Paradise today. Let's, if you want, and then see what time's looking like. Because I want to share with you.
Perfect, Greg.
Okay, we'll just do Grains of Paradise today, and then next time, Debbie, if Debbie wants it that way, we can talk through why is it so important to have these other ingredients, because they're also crucial in the formula. Yeah. So here's a little bit more. Don't these seeds are super interesting, aren't they? They're really pretty. This is a little bit of a close up. They're not this big, but
they're actually quite small, and they taste so good.
Yeah, they're just such an interesting seed. Highly anti-inflammatory, including inflammations that tie into autoimmune situations. So again, that to me, those are red flag's not the right word. Those are flags to look more closely into some of the qualities of this seed, because when I see that kind of a result, very heart healthy. So I don't really love that they call the nicknames like pepper, like alligator. One of its nicknames is alligator pepper. And people think pepper, oh, that's hard on your heart, hypertension. This is the opposite. This improves it, okay? So, and we know this because if you're really familiar with the peppers, there's a large group of the pepper family that improve it. But lots of digestive issues that have to deal with imbalances like diarrhea are improved. Now, it's interesting. You can also have people take this and they find themselves going more often because it also will help the body find balance. And sometimes what the body needs to do is expel some things. So I've seen that one both ways, but this is the way it's traditionally used in Africa. So this tells you, diet's different there. Lifestyle is going to be different. It's going to be different everywhere. And then there are immune and fever applications for it too. So this is a group of studies that Dr. Allison collected. She just said, this needs to be studied more, but here are some studies that we already have. Okay, here's one that says people that used a lot of NSAIDs, so you're at your pain meds, right? They damage kidneys. when GP was in the diet, those kidneys were protected. So there's studies showing that protecting from chemical damage. Now, obviously we don't want to like abuse ourselves and take something to protect the abuse, but still that's good to know because this is a big issue. Another one is slow thyroid or sluggish thyroid. And that can happen for a lot of different reasons. But one study that shows, because a lot of drugs have as a side effect, there's a direct, what's the word I'm looking for? A direct effect to inhibit thyroid function. And again, when GP was used in the diet, that did not happen. So it is protective. Here's another thing that it's protective of your liver. The liver is one of the 10 levers. That's why we mentioned the levers. It's an X factor. It can override anything, but several of these levers, it wouldn't be a lever if it couldn't override the other things going on. So this is actually a liver protector. They again did some studies. Look at that though, irradiation. So I always think about, all the different radioactive, not necessarily the kind that you're exposed and you die. I'm talking more the slow degradation, the slow damage. That's just sort of what we live with now. And I mean, not to sound too old fashioned, but with cell phones and everything that we have now, we don't really know the generational effects of those. It's not, but they haven't been around long enough. But we do know that they cause some damage. But will anyone ever admit that? I'm not sure, because it's viewed as an absolute necessity. But what we can do is we can study things that protect us. The body's pretty amazing, and plants are pretty amazing. Grains of paradise, this wonderful seed from Africa, it's a protector. One of the last line is the little huge point, the huge benefit that Dr. Allison spent time on. I think she has another slide on it. Hold on with me. I think it's the slide after this. Okay, we're going to come back to glutathione. But here's another one, blood sugar. Anything that helps my body do that and strengthens the pancreas in that role, I'm interested in, because it's near universal that everyone struggles with that. I'm not going to say universal, but I'll say near universal. Because GP showed that it went down, and also it showed it didn't push the blood sugar too low. That was another flag, good flag, because that's kind of adaptogenic in nature. Debbie mentioned this one already. This is what it's been shown to do. The less useful I say useful, but it's not what's burned to create energy. It's kind of storage. It changes the storage fat to the fuel fat. That's how in my simpler mind, that's how I view it. And so that's what several studies have focused on. And there's really good evidence, because they see what they call the EE, your energy emissions, go up with its use. And that happens when you're successfully burning brown fat or beige, the fat cells that are led toward or toward the spectrum where they can be used for, like Debbie said, thermogenesis. It makes a big difference when we're creating energy. Things can happen the way they're supposed to happen in the body. Like, I think things to me are digestion, the creation of collagen and structural, the cleaning, keeping the house clean and restoring and rebuilding the collagen. But everything the body needs to do metabolically requires energy. So the better our body is at it, the better we are at staying at it, is how I look at it. So that's another reason why we're really interested in adding this. I mentioned this already, highly anti-inflammatory. Lots of ways they studied it. And inflammation is related to about anything in health imbalance, right? So they picked a couple things and they said, yep, indeed, grains of paradise, they help with that. So sometimes I like this, because if you're working on inflammation and you're a little bit of stuck at a place, maybe this will help you. These grains of paradise are different. They're a little unique. Maybe they might be the right thing for you. it's also a gut protector. So a lot of these slides from Dr. Allison, notice they were protect this, protect that, protect this. That gives you great, again, a flag about what a great antioxidant it is. And finally, here's a bonus. When you're eating grains of paradise, it's harder for the bad bacteria to adhere to cells. So they're going to pass through more likely than stay. So lower likelihood for infection. So we do like that as well. And here's your evidence. Okay, the nickname may be pepper. It's not, but it's the good kind. Lowers blood pressure, helps your heart. Lots of good evidence on that one as well. She mentioned that it could be useful in ED, may reduce estrogen activity. I like this third one, antispasmodic. Contains quercetin. A lot of Solle products have quercetin in them, and Camphorol, but these are both in grains of paradise too. So now you've got them. So let's stop there today because we want to go back to the other ingredients, but grains of paradise. Now I'll end with this. Okay, it comes in two forms. One of them is a standardized extract, and what they did is all the studies that had to do with the fat tissue being changed, or it's not really correct to say it that way. With this nutrition stimulating the body to convert the fat into more burnable fat. Okay, it was done with a certain level of a group of polyphenols called 6-paradol. And so the first material of grains of paradise that's in this formula is standardized to 12.5% minimum. Now our material is a little over 13% as we studied in a lab. So you're slightly higher than the required level that the studies were done at. That's half of it. That's half of the grains of paradise that we include in each capsule. The other half, roughly, is a 5 times whole seed concentrate. So you're getting 5 times the concentration of all the components of the seed. So you have the 6-paradol. You also have one called 6-chagall, which I think that's the one they showed in studies that it helps protect nerves and helps stimulate nerve growth. I didn't even talk about that today because I don't have a slide on it right now, but that's another important. So obviously we don't want to just emphasize the one fat thing when you've got something so beneficial as this nerve group. Then there's another group of polyphenols called 6-gingerol, because I didn't mention grains of paradise is in the ginger family. It's just in that general plant family, but it's not ginger. So it's a very unique plant. If you look at it, you'll go, yep, that's not ginger at all. We've got some pictures of it somewhere. I should have included one of the pictures. For next time I will. And then there's another one, and I can't think of the fourth one, that are the 4 that get most talked about. So in the second material of grains of paradise, what we did is you get a 5 times concentrate of all of it. And we love to do that at Solle, where we work with the entire seed or the entire root or the entire beneficial part of the plant. And then sometimes we combine it with a standardized, just to ensure that one component, if it's an area of emphasis for the formula, that one component at a high enough level. Yeah. So that's what we did with grains of paradise. All right, Deb, back to you.
I was going to say, you probably wanted to talk about glutathione, but we'll talk about it when we talk about the rooibos. It's okay.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Mentioned it when we talk about the rooibos component.
That's
what I love is that you've taken out the green tea extract out of this and incorporated the grains of paradise, which is such a great protective type of product. Protects the liver, protects the kidneys, protects the nerves, and helps increase the gut action that your body needs to have. It's what I love about that product. You mentioned a couple of the things that I noticed when I used the product the very first time. I found a very steady energy, very focused energy, no jitters, but because it was helping my liver do certain things, I noticed immediately that there was some detoxing. Now, you and I spent some time with a good friend called Esther Benitez, who is since passed. And she did one of the old-fashioned gallbladder liver cleanses on us. And when we did it, we were at her home, and she was taking care of us. But when you do that, puppy, that thing just really just causes like liquid to go out of your body like nobody's business, right? When the liver has a great way of helping the intestine get rid of whatever toxic fluid is built up in there and just immediately liberates it from the body. Some people have actually experienced that using the SolleFit GP. Somebody said it causes diarrhea. No, it doesn't cause diarrhea. What it's doing is causing your liver to do what it's supposed to do. And so sometimes you will experience some kind of release of excess fluid that your body's been holding onto for some reason. And so the liver does some great cleansing doing this product, but it's crazy because it's not just cleansing, it's doing some really deep tissue protecting. And so I love that this product is really amazing, and it can't be pigeonholed. Like I said, this is not a weight loss product. This is a product that will help you master the way your body makes, stores, and uses energy so that your body becomes a very efficient fuel burning machine. And it burns clean fuel. Do you understand the difference? It's like using coal versus wood. One is cleaner than the other. One leaves residue. This is what I love about SolleFit GP, is that when you add it to like the 4-month program. So, think of our Improve Your Health in 4 months. In the 4th month is where we had the Soul Complete. Remember, that's why we were talking about Soul Complete last month and why it's such a great companion to the new product. And we had the Renew and the Cinemate, as well as the Infatuate product in there, right? And because all of these are liver protecting. And now when you're adding good nutrition and you add now, instead of Power Chi, you can add SolleFit GP to that program. The results are incredible because now your body is able to convert or help. See, brown fat used to be thought of as the bad fat. If you had asked any doctor 20 years ago, which is the bad fat, they would have said the brown fat, right? Because that's the one that sits right under the skin. It's subcutaneous. It's right under the skin. And under that layer, you have your yellow fat or beige. And then the white fat is even deeper below that. But sometimes we have that layer of fat that tends to hold on to things. And what SolleFit GP does is it helps that layer of fat burn and use and move energy the way it's supposed to, because all of the fat is needed in your body, right? But not all of them serve the same function in your body. And so now we're turning the body into a very efficient fat burning machine, in the sense that it burns the fat for fuel, not for storage, for fuel. That's what increases the thermogenesis. Okay, so that by itself is a great attribute of the product. What I find the greatest attributes are the protective attributes that this Grains of Paradise adds to your system. So if you're using your 4 drinks and you were to think of a good, better, best solution, I am going to say I have a 4-month program. But if all you can do is use the 4 drinks and you want to better your metabolism, you can now add, right, SolleFit GP Grains of Paradise, right? Doesn't that make sense now to you, how your body can actually use this? So I think I sent via text and via WhatsApp, I sent the good, better, best picture, brochure, flyer, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to print mine at home, you guys, on my color printer and print 2 to a page. But I sent it to you via text and via WhatsApp, and then I will send it via email. But if you look at that, you can address certain things, right? Because remember, good is the 4 drinks, right? Better is the 4 drinks plus the oils. The best solution or the best option would be our 4-month improve your health in 4 months, right? And then add from that other little column of whatever your wellness goal is. So I know it says for more weight loss, SolleFit GP is on there, but that's because it's a great metabolic converter, okay? So I want you to understand that. Don't think of SolleFit GP as solely a weight loss product, because really it does so much more. Okay, it is so healthy, it's so nutritious, it's got so many wonderful things in there. But if you wanted more, that's why we added the word more weight loss, or more immune support, or more digestive ease, then you go through the program and then you can add these products. But we'll talk more about that in our business class next week when we talk about our levers. I just wanted to tell you that that was my experience. The first week that I used SolleFit GP, I dropped 5 pounds without doing anything but jumping on my mini trampoline for 5 minutes a day. I wasn't doing excessive exercise, but what my body was doing, I noticed, the first thing I noticed was I no longer felt cold all the time. And people who are always cold and their skin is dry, the doctor says what? Your thyroid is out of balance. Well, thyroid is one of the levers, right? One of the things that regulates metabolism in your body. Your liver is the other lever, right? Because the liver is very important in the production of hormones and in the production of bile, and bile helps the lymph, and lymph is needed in the brain, and lymph is needed everywhere in the body. So just think of the product that way. And what I love, that most of you who have an herbal background and have used another product, most people today are looking for a better source of more glutathione. SolleFit GP, SolleFit GP. And that's because of the rooibos in there. And you will see that the next time that Greg comes back in 2 weeks and talks about the Power Chi formula part of the SolleFit GP. So I really wanted to give you that heads up, give you something to look forward to. So next Wednesday, we will be talking about the good, better, best. I sent it. I will email it to you. I will send you this recording. Share this information, because people are going to be so excited to use this product. I can tell you honestly that I haven't changed a lot of my eating, but as on the weeks that I have less stress and I'm using the SolleFit GP, I feel more focused. I feel more calm. I haven't even really had to use my Renew at nighttime. Not to say that you will drop it, but you can add and take away products from your program every month if you wanted to, or every other month, and see different results. And I think it is my hope, I think that you will see a dramatic change in your body and in how you feel and how you react to things as you add SolleFit GP. Please remember that the example that Greg gave today of the lady who was using 4 and 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, those are extreme cases. I use 2 and maybe 4 in one day. I don't use 8. Do you know what I mean? Just depending on my levels of stress and what I'm feeling. And so I can only tell you how I feel, but you will know how you feel when you use the product. And that way you can explain to your customers how you felt. All right. So I love you guys. I thank you for being here this week. I was so happy to see my sweet friend Joanne. Happy to see Anita. She had to run. She had another meeting to go to. As always, I am delighted to see Jaliva and Gwen, who are always on here every week. And I'm just so happy that you guys have made the choice to make soul part of your lifestyle. I love you. Thank you so much for being here every week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.